Coarse language and mature subject matter. Viewer discretion is extremely advised.
Good evening. It is ADC. It's Talking Truth Tuesday special edition, AB Poli edition. And holy shit, is there stuff going on here in AB Poli. We have Not My Premier Danielle Smith with a Sovereignty Act. People are going out of their minds. They don't know what to do. People are looking at leaving the province. This is just unprecedented. And people are saying that this is the worst, like federally across the country. These are the worst premiers ever in history. I commented, and we'll go into a detail of that. Slight second is Bible Bill, as in Eberhard and the Bible thumping evangelicals that started the Manning legacy. And God knows we're still paying for that. Daniel Smith is one of those students of the Manning legacy. And speaking of the Manning legacy, one of the other right-hand men for the duopoly corruption Christo-fascist, I'm just at a loss of words. Anyway, former premier, not my premier, Jason Kenney, who, hey, RCMP, you still investigating his leadership? Is it still something that we're not talking about? Incompetence, absolute incompetence across the board. And we now, for some reason, some of us who haven't had a platform, who have been censored by the UCP, UCC, have been targeted by them, targeted by Elections Alberta. We are sitting here trying to share the information, have been trying to share the information for years. And Albertans, you listen to certain people, but you're not listening to us. So we're going to go back and look at, because everyone's going, the whole thing is, this is unconstitutional, this is that, this is corrupt, this is absolute power, this is a dictatorship. And I've been saying it's been a dictatorship the entire time the UCP have been in government, but no one has actually listened to the words. So I'm going to share the words of myself. And this isn't about ego. This isn't about anything. This is about sharing exactly what I posted on TikTok, which got me under the surveillance of Elections Alberta and the UCP government. Episode 8, Fuck You, Kenny, and the UC Corruption Compensated Calgary Stampede Clown Show. Although we called the UCP Stampede or Die 2021 a year ago, and benevolent dictatorship from the beginning of their election, the Sky Palace is just the latest example of the mat, distract, deny, deflect plan to continue the benevolent dictatorship by Kenny. Remember, this came just days after the announcement of Jack Mintz's appointment to the Alberta Health Services Board of Directors. For those unaware of Mintz, he was a member of the UCP Blue Ribbon Panel, which brought us the McKinnon Report, mostly focused on implementing a multi-tiered healthcare system. Multi-tiered healthcare system, McKinnon Report. So Skeletor McKinnon, who, if you're like myself, who was in Saskatchewan during the Roy Romano days, I mean, Grant Devine was a horrible leader. We just had good old Scott Moe inviting convicted murderer Colin Thatcher. We'll get into that. Yeah, he was fully 100% on board with the murdering of his ex-wife, Joanne Wilson. But there's a lot of talk about that. But anyway, the guy's a useless piece of shit. He is a ex-criminal. Um, ex He's a guy who served time, and he's welcomed back into the Saskatchewan legislature. So, point being, Roy Romano, as the leader of the NDP, brought in McKinnon to work on the healthcare system of Saskatchewan at the time. And the reason why I'm very connected to the healthcare system of Saskatchewan is both my parents were in the healthcare system. My mom was a registered nurse. My dad was a radiology technician and at one point head of radiology for one of the hospitals in Regina. So what does that mean? Why am I keep bringing up the past? Well, we keep talking about the past because the past keeps repeating itself. And as much as we warn people, we're telling you the truth fucking hurts. It does. The truth sucks. It hurts. It's absolute garbage. And we don't want that. We don't want the truth. No one wants the fucking truth. But we need to share the truth, because the only way we're going to stop the alt-right religious Bible thumping Christo-fascists is to come together with intelligence and a cooperative movement. Back to McKinnon. McKinnon comes in, takes over the portfolio for Romano, does this great, very similar to the blue ribbon panel that they did for the UCP, looks at cost effectiveness for hospitals, finds out one of the major hospitals in Regina has an asbestos problem inside their building. And instead of actually removing the asbestos and doing a full renovation on the building, they closed that hospital. So close the hospital, Regina, Saskatchewan, not like Alberta here. We didn't have millions of people there. Very much at the time when I left Saskatchewan, there was under 1 million people. No, it's bigger now, but at the time it was not. And Regina's still not that big. You're looking at about 250,000 to 370,000 if you count White City and all the outer areas. So for that many people, they had 3 hospitals. Then they had 2 hospitals. And then McKinnon, in her brilliance, went and streamlined the rural healthcare system. And I hate to tell you that was, if you guys want to go and look at the time that Roy Romano was in power, that was the 90s. So we're looking at 30 years ago, give or take. And Saskatchewan's healthcare system has just been decimated and continues to be decimated, especially in the rural areas. My mom was diagnosed with breast cancer, went to go to her doctor in the rural community that the farm's closest to, and the doctor has left. And they don't have a replacement. So then she has to go to major center to get the reports. They wouldn't just give the reports over the phone. She had to actually contact the cancer center to get them to get the reports. Needless to say, she's clear of any cancer. So if we have some miracles there, that is a miracle. But the concept is that healthcare system is decimated. And that's what we are going to have here in Alberta, because McKinnon was part of the blue ribbon panel that Kenny put in place. And she advised the UCP government to do similar stuff that they did in Saskatchewan. I'm going to go back to a second clip. So remember that I posted these videos on my TikTok account, and you can follow us on TikTok. If we can get to 1,000, we can actually stream this show live on TikTok as well as YouTube, Odyssey, Twitter, Facebook, etc. So follow us at TikTok at ADC Truth. Like and subscribe. Smash that like button, as everyone would like to say. Now I'm going to get to video number 2. Jason Kenney and the UCP government's timeline of events during the pandemic, which is a cause of concern. Starting with the 29 of the 29 bills during the 2019 legislature session 1 pre-pandemic. However, the ultimate evil plan started on March 16, 2020, with the Emergency Management Cabinet Committee, all UCC members giving Premier Jason Kenney the directive to call a provincial state of emergency. I know you're saying, in theory, this is a good idea, as it ensures the government's ability to create programs and direct funds to needed causes without the delays. However, without needing debate or transparency, the acting government can gain absolute control. And absolute control is exactly what we're talking about with today's announcement from Not My Premier Danielle Smith and the Sovereignty Act. And we won't get into great detail on the Sovereignty Act. You guys can go and look it up. Because the fact is that it's like everything else the UCP does, it's a moving goalpost. So just when you think that you understand or you've gotten everything that the UCC, UCP are wanting to present, or you've figured out everything they're doing, guess what? They change the rules. They move the goalposts, they take away things, they add things. So if you look at, go into that, and we'll show in other videos that we'll show here. And I urge you to go to the Government of Alberta website and look at the bills and all the laws that were put into place under the Jason Kenney UCP government. And by the way, newsflash for everyone, Jason Kenney resigned his position as MLA here in Alberta. So that gutless piece of shit resigned in Ontario in the federal government to come and become a corrupt leader who was never elected legally. Thank you, RCMP, for continuing your great work in investigation. But now he's leaving again. So, needless to say, Jason Kenney is a fucking quitter. He's a gutless piece of shit and a quitter. And if we can figure this out, Alberta, maybe we can get a lawsuit going. And you'll see that at one of the last video I'm going to show. So we'll go to part 3 on here. We've just gotten to March 2020. What's the UCP going to do next? March 17th, Jason Kenney declared a provincial state of emergency. 3 days later, Kenney and the UCP put Bill 9 into effect. Additional amendments were made for Bills 10 through 14. In total, 13 bills became acts, laws, prior to the state of emergency being lifted on June 15th, 2020. And some of those are pretty important, including Bill 10, which is the Health Emergency Management Act, Section 13, where the minister is not required consent from the peace officer or the employer before making an order declaring the peace officers to have jurisdiction over any part of Alberta where the Emergency Act is in place. Which brings up the concern of the UCP's push to replace the federally funded and regulated RCMP with their own provincial police force. Private Bill 211, the Firearms Amendment Act, passed in April of this year with very little news on it. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not a huge fan of the RCMP and will continue to push to defund the police. However, I would rather the Mounties over a UCP-driven group of right-wing religious radicals armed with rifles and military equipment. Picture the thin blue line flag-waving wingnuts in the Edmonton Police Service, only 10 times worse. Bill 13 came into full force on May 12th, including the very troubling amendment on the making of an order under Section 18-1. The minister may, by order, authorize the managing director or any other person to exercise some or all of the powers given to the minister under Section 1 in the Emergency Act. Basically giving any government full control and ability to name anyone in control over the entire province in a state of emergency. And these acts also made calling a state of emergency much easier. So we can call things on a state of emergency easier. These bills have been changed. So today's announcement of the Sovereignty Act, and just looking at it, it looks like our stream on Twitter has been shut down. And we don't know where we're streaming right now because guess what? Your capitalist compensated cuck oligarchy doesn't want this information to be seen. So old Muskrat there on Twitter didn't like this at all and has shut down our stream. So join us on YouTube. We're going to check out YouTube and make sure that we're still on there because, yeah, this is why we're recording right now. This is why we're doing all these things, is to share the information. And God knows no one wants to see this information right now. And so they're going to do everything in their power to stop us. And we're still live on YouTube. So join us on YouTube. The chat is live on YouTube. That is if you want to join this conversation. I know the breakdown, they're doing some spaces and whatever. From my experience, the breakdown has been, the majority of it has been a conservative minded driven stuff. A lot of it is been promoted, some fake allies in their commentary. There's been some misogyny from that side as well. So we try to be as inclusive as possible. We try and invite as many voices as we can. Speaking of which, join us next week. We are having an Alberta Party panel. So we have some great candidates from the Alberta Party joining us to discuss their platform, to discuss the Alberta Party, and to discuss the current circumstances here in Alberta and Alberta politics. So, as you can see, it's a horror show, and it's not going to get any better. And this was our issue back when we were talking about we need to do something. It's a struggle. I'm struggling every day to not just give up, because I feel like I'm shouting into the void. And because we're not a platform with huge resources, because we're not affiliated with any sort of celebrity, because we're not a white privileged piece of shit who use our platform to gain access to everyone and maintain our control under the guise of being nice and being real and being in the middle. Bullshit. Anyway, like I said, this is a special edition. We're talking AB Poli. We're talking a lot of things. And feel free to ask us some questions. It is something that we're trying everything to get the truth. We're talking truth. And again, we say the truth is fucking hard, because it is. It is absolutely mind-numbingly hard. And it's even harder when we're seem like we're just speaking in a echo chamber when you have great information, well, not great information, when you have horrible information that needs to get out to the masses and your message keeps getting censored, throttled, um, your character assassinated, the whole 9 yards. It's not just assassinated by the UCP or by the existing government. You're assassinated by calling out the Alberta NDP and their corruption and their toxicity. I'm assassinated left, right, and center. So, how our friend Lee Camp says he's the most censored comedian in America, I will say right now, I'm the most censored podcaster, media, independent media outlet in Alberta, especially, and possibly Canada, because our stuff gets throttled, our stuff gets banned, our stuff gets the stream cut. As you could see on Twitter tonight, it got cut in the middle of our stream, and that's where we're at. So if you see this, like it, share, subscribe, go to Odyssey and join us. Go to YouTube and join us, because we need to come together as a collective. So we're going to go to another video that I did back in, remember, this was back in 2021, June. In June 2020, Kenny and the UCP released their opening soon relaunch, a phase plan with Calgary Stampede included in phase 3. We'll fast forward to March 8th of this year, a total number of active cases exceeding the previous record from April of last year, and the UCP moves forward to stage 2. It was also then when Calgary Stampede was confirmed, as past sponsors were contacted saying it was a go. This all while Kenny's going, we're not sure yet. Kenny capitalism at work had huge price increases at the pump, grocery, clothing, medical supplies, and etc., even with large oil reserves and restricted travel in province. And that's just more stuff that was happening behind the scenes. And because they have the majority government, there was no debate. There is nothing. CP used the pandemic as a smokescreen, utilizing the mat, distract, deflect, deny. Bill 13 came into full force on May 12th, including the very troubling amendment on the making. CP used the pandemic as a smokescreen, utilizing the mat, distract, deflect, deny technique. Kenny and the UCP were able to push through a record number of 57 government bills, 4 private member public bills, and 2 private bills. This all while being off for multiple times out of the legislature during the pandemic. These laws have continued capitalist corruption, allowing corporate profiteering off the backs of Albertans, including the removal of rate restrictions on energy, home and auto insurance, as well as the prevention of legal liability from COVID-19 Alberta for care facilities, just to name a few. So, as you can see from that video, that we were calling them out. We were finding the smoking gun. We were discovering, we were unveiling, like, it's like the Wizard of Oz. Don't look behind the curtain. Just pay attention to the distraction out front. So, guess what's been the distraction? The distraction's been the freedom fighters. The distraction's been the convoy. The distraction's been this. The distraction's been that. The distraction's been other people talking about why this province is going to shit. That's the distraction. UCP loves it. That was the mat, distract, deny, deflect technique when old Wolfie was in power. Like, if you got to go back to 2020 when we were talking that the fact that the UCP government under Jason Kenney, and I don't know how much it is because they keep hiring and firing and laying people off, and they've got lobbyists coming in and lobbyists going out. It's just a revolving door of corruption. It is House of Cards in Alberta. So if you see some of the designs that have been popping out around House of Cards, that's what we're in. We're in House of Cards. It's not just a Netflix series, people. It is a fucking life. It is real world here in Alberta. In other provinces, Ontario is similar. Saskatchewan is similar. Fuck, BC is going to be just that way. Wake the fuck up. This is why people like Not My Premier Daniel Smith can go and put a Sovereignty Act and put it out there and basically say, I'm going to do everything to take the power away from everyone and have absolute power, and no one will stop me. Why aren't we stopping her? I don't need Rachel Notley, the NDP, to come out with another bullshit TikTok video or another we're going to argue in the legislature because it's more polite. Fuck politeness. People are dying and continue to die. If you look at the stats, COVID-19 is not fucking over. And people going unmasked and going to mass gatherings and just doing whatever the fuck they want because they can is fucking ableist. And it's ableist not just to the disabled, but it's ableist to the sick, to the young, to the old, to the people in poverty. So when we're looking at Better Off with Rachel in 2023, can anyone truly tell me we're going to be better off with Rachel in 2023? And if Better Off with Rachel isn't figuring it out, Elections Alberta is fucking corrupt. It's been corrupted. I had the smoking gun. I had them dead to rights. There was a bill previously in the Elections Act that forced Elections Alberta to have an intermediary between Glenn Ressler and the current government. That intermediary is gone. There is now a direct connection from Glenn Ressler to the Justice Minister. And who the fuck is the Justice Minister? None other than Mr. Driveway Shandro, who's under investigation himself. How the fuck does a Justice Minister maintain integrity? How can you claim to be a Justice Minister when you're under investigation yourself for corruption and legal misrepresentation? We called it out that his fucking wife was getting kickbacks in regards to her fucking private insurance company. But that kind of went away, didn't it? When he went and threatened that doctor on the driveway, that's where the distraction went. That's when all the opportunists went and made fuck you this and fuck you that and not on my driveway signs and all this other bullshit. And everyone ate it up like it was fucking ice cream. And the UCP looked at you and just fucking laughed because they knew that if you stayed distracted by the dipshitness, they could do whatever the fuck they wanted behind the scenes because they already had absolute power. Don't tell me the Sovereignty Act is going to just mean absolute power. They already fucking have it because there is no opposition. They don't need to debate anything. We're going to get to another video here of the proof of where this corruption and where this absolute power is. CP used the pandemic as a smokescreen. They've successfully maintained civil obedience as the average Albertan is unable to effectively fight back as we fall further into financial and mental distress. Speaking of civil obedience, or lack thereof, while the current ongoing restrictions have caused a huge backlash from past UCP members and voters, Kenny and his UCP Rodeo Clown Caucus continue to gaslight the media and the citizens of Alberta, directly violating restrictions, including the latest Sky Palace event, in which Alberta's current Chief Medical Officer of Health, Dina Hinshaw, responded, "Everyone makes mistakes." In a play learned by then Prime Minister and now IDU infiltrator Stephen Harper, Kenny and the UCP government have avoided any effective questioning or investigative journalism. They did it through a lack of access or availability, including but not limited to the screening of media prior to press conferences and the prevention of those media being in-person attendance during briefings and addresses, all under the guise of the Emergency Act and COVID-19 and being safe. So they would go and they would say, "Oh, we can't have the media here. We can't have large gatherings because it's not safe, because we have to ensure that we take the proper precautions for the pandemic." So then they do the fake bullshit of doing the sanitizing of the hands and taking off the mask and putting the mask back on. Well, you go back to it and you saw that the fucking guy didn't even use sanitizer on his hands. He just wiped his hands pretending that he sanitized, where our friend Bree actually did a TikTok video that went viral on that, doing that, showing things if you don't really do them, how ridiculous it is. And so that's how ridiculous that was. But that's the thing. So these guys and girls, mostly guys, and don't come at me with misogyny or whatever in regards to Not My Premier Danielle Smith. She is the evil sorceress from Masters of the Universe and He-Man, the Skeletor's one that wears the fucking hat or whatever the case may be. She's been doing this bullshit behind the scenes for years. Go to our Twitter. Go to the Twitter for AB_Polly. Go and look at some of those at the timeline. Go and look where we called it out. When we called it out, that's when Not My Premier Danielle Smith blocked us. So we're blocked on Twitter by the Not My Premier and supposed leader of Alberta. A lot of people are. But that doesn't matter, because we're just going to bitch and moan and complain and talk about, oh, we're going to be better off in 2023. Let's send more money to the NDP. Ignoring the fact that the NDP have been toxic. So what do we do? What is the answer? I'm hoping, talking to those brilliant ladies of the Alberta Party next week, that we can get some of those answers of something different, because we sure as shit can't just do the same. And I really respect the Alberta Party. I respect the leader, Barry Morosito, of the ability to be able to have conversations with your candidates and not have to just go and talk to the leader and the leader's minions. That's refreshing. So if we could find a way to get at least one or two Alberta Party MLAs elected, just to change it up a little bit here in Alberta, probably be a good thing. Going to go to the last couple videos here. So why are these details so important? Because we can't wait till a 2023 election for Better Off with Rachel to get change. While Kenny and the UCP's arrogance and thoughtless behavior frustrates the fuck out of Albertans daily, it's the danger in the total lack of transparency and what these lying, pathetic pieces of shit posing as politicians are doing behind the scenes without any recourse. most of which is causing irreversible damage. And we're still in that irreversible damage. So we're looking at the fact that I've called it out many, many times. Last video. So my call to action for fellow Albertans is we all need to come together. We need to launch a major class action lawsuit of negligence causing harm against Jason Kenney, Dr. Dina Hinshaw, every UCP cabinet minister, and all past or present UCP caucus members whose actions or lack thereof were directly responsible for the trauma, hardship, and deaths of over 2,000 citizens and counting due to COVID-19. That was June 2021. That is almost a year and a half ago that I put that out. What happened since then? 1,000 more Albertans died. All COVID regulations have been lifted. Any safety precautions are lifted. The grocery stores are lifting shit. Like, I question this, and I question it as a human being. I question it as a caring human being, caring for my fellow Albertans. Number one, why can't you just wear a fucking mask? Yeah, it's uncomfortable, it's itchy, and whatever. So is a fucking scarf. So is fucking anything can be uncomfortable for a time. Guess what? It's cold as fuck in Alberta because Alberta's cold as fuck. Wearing a mask, especially a cloth one, keeps your nose warm. Here's an ADC tip for you. Number two, with all the stuff that's going on in China, I'm not going to go into any detail, any opinion, anything in regards to what is happening in China with the protests or the forced COVID zero regulations and the lockdowns and that sort of thing, because I'm not on the ground. I can't speak on that. I can speak on the fact that in this government, be it municipal in Calgary, Edmonton, be it provincial, be it federal, citizens are dying every fucking day due to the gross negligence of our leaders, our so-called leaders, including not my Premier Daniel Smith, who wants to further lift the regulations and further go towards the right. This isn't just a right left. This isn't just a blue, green, yellow, orange, red. We got to get rid of the fucking colors. We got to get rid of this party politic bullshit. Politics is not like watching a sport. Choosing the NDP or choosing the UCP is not like watching the Oilers and the Flames. And just because, I like this team and that team, I'm going to cheer for them, regardless if I don't like some of the players on the team. With exceptions, no one on either one of those sports teams killed anyone in recent memory. The actions of both our political parties have killed people, have destroyed lives, and continue to destroy lives. So playing party politics and picking orange or picking blue or picking red or green or whatever the fuck you want to do doesn't work. You're seeing it in the United States. You're seeing it around the world. And it's scary as fuck. So right now in Alberta, we have a chance. It's a very slim chance, but we have a chance. So there's a number of things that we could do. We're not going to say any of those things right now because then we're going to be called a planner or whatever the fucking bullshit target's going to be this week. But we can assure you that we will fight for the voiceless. We are looking at doing work with certain individuals that have been targeted by abusers. We're working with individuals that are looking at helping promote and provide supports for harm reduction in our province. We're working with individuals currently with the Not My Premier coffee mugs blocked by Smith, blocked by Danielle, whatever the fuck you want to say. I screenshotted the block from our account and put it on the mug with the official Not My Premier logo. And you can get that at ballergear.org or notmypremier.ca. $5 from every one of those mugs is going to Coffee Period, which is a grassroots family started fundraising initiative in support of the Boyle Street Community Organization and Bear Clan Patrol. So that's an easy one. If you feel she's not my premier, if you were blocked by Danielle Smith, not my premier, buy a fucking mug and support Coffee Period. The other portion of the proceeds are going to our official registered with Elections Alberta third-party political advertiser account, which we can provide supports. We can do cooperative action against the government. Problem is, we can only do that till the end of December. So we have 32 days left to sell anything related to AB Poli, Not My Premier. And then I have to go away with any of that merchandise. I'm legally banned from selling that due to regulations through Elections Alberta. Elections Alberta has not gone after a certain person in Edmonton who's made a boatload of fucking money and is openly supportive of Better Off with Rachel 2023. But me, an independent person who is doing just-in-time merchandise and apparel with the Baller Gear solution, utilizing ethically produced product that is designed, printed, and distributed in Canada with our major distributor, our main print distribution center that's based in the Greater Toronto area, that's owned by an Iranian family. It's a family-owned operation that has been in business since they moved as refugees to Canada. The mother and father moved here. The sons are now running the business, but it's still family run. So they're ethnically diverse, and we use ethically sourced product. We use Next Level, Bella Canva, and Champion. Because all of them don't use sweatshops. All of them are providing us with proper certifications. The most certifications you can get in North America when it comes to apparel. LEED certified, those sort of things. We care about that. We care about the fucking environment. We care about causing a climate revolution and trying to stop the climate crisis. But we can't do it alone. And I just continue to feel like I'm banging my head against the wall because other people have been able to profit off of exploitation, and I'm not able to keep the lights on for my business in support of human rights and social justice initiatives, because you're choosing who you support. And you look at me, okay, it's a white guy, it's another white guy, it's has advantages. And yeah, absolutely, I am a white person of privilege when it comes to, I've never been accused of anything based on my my pigmentation, but I'm disabled. So I'm a disabled person. And I'm not employable right now because of things that we're doing right now, because what you're watching is has me non-employable. But the only way we're going to do true advocacy is if we don't sell out. I feel there's a lot of sellouts, especially in this province. If you don't want to be called a sellout, then stop exploiting people. Get behind causes. Stop looking for heroes and be the fucking hero yourself. I don't want to lead anything. I've told you this. I've told everyone this. I want to be part of a cooperative revolution, a cooperative movement, a cooperative, inclusive, led by Indigenous. That's what I want to be a part of, but I don't want to lead it. But if I'm the only one who's ready to speak truth to power and risk it all, not for the glory, not for the power, not for the profit, but for the people. I hope you can see in my eyes that when I'm saying we're talking truth, we are talking truth. This isn't just another brand. This isn't just another way to have a revenue stream. This is my life. This is my family's life. This is my daughter's life. This is our oldest's life. When I say that I support the 2S LGBTQTIA plus community, I'm not just an ally, I'm a fucking accomplice. When I say I support the disability community, I'm fucking disabled. So it's easy to support the disabled community. But I fucking amplify them. Regardless of what you feel about people, if you truly care about your fellow citizen, you will fucking do something about it and stop fucking joining the masses that follow false fucking prophets, including our fucking celebrities. I'm tired of the celebrities. I'm tired the philanthropic capitalists. That's what they fucking are. There's a great video that I will put the link to on here on YouTube that you have to see, and it is dissecting Mr. Beast. And it's not about just shitting on Mr. Beast. It's about totally lifting the veil off of capitalism and off of philanthropy. How can most philanthropy initiatives work well? Well, they're connected up the wazoo, they have branding behind them, or they have celebrity influence that forces them to go viral. We have multiple of those going on during the pandemic, including Dina Hinshaw shirts. Yes, you raised a lot of money for the fucking food bank, but you fucking got a lot of money based on the brand that you were able to uphold. Again, I'll bring up the fuck you Kenny mugs. You continue to fucking benefit from those. Your 5 seconds of fame are up. Alberta, stop. Stop supporting the white privilege patriarchy. Because if you don't, and you keep burying people like me, nothing's going to change. More people are going to die. And that Sovereignty Act that not my Premier Danielle Smith's putting through, let's go back and read some history books, will you? Because I guarantee that Alberta, the darkest days you have not seen the darkest days of Alberta yet. If you allow Danielle Smith and the UCP to continue running roughshod and wait for an election to get rid of them. They will destroy the province. They will destroy lives. And the only solution for those of privilege and those haves is they're going to leave the fucking province. I don't have the advantage to leave the province. Our circumstances are forcing us to be here. I thank the fucking gods that our daughter's teacher is fucking amazing in the public system. And the school that she goes to, the majority of the staff are amazingly supportive and doing the best they can. It's not safe. I fear every day she comes home with COVID. My wife has a long-term underlying condition. I might have the same condition, but we can't stop. I mean, I can't just keep going full bore. I mean, there's going to be a crossroads here. So that's my call to you, Alberta. If you're seeing this, share it the fuck around. Because as you can tell tonight, Elon Musk does not like me. Elon Musk wants to shut me up. He wants to stop people like me. People like JB. People like members of the PVN. People like Duncan Kinney. True journalists. Kim Seifer. True journalists that not only write brilliantly, but write with integrity. And it's a livelihood. So this is, again, my call to action. You see the stuff flying across the screen. Links in the bio. It's sleek.bio/ADC if you just want to donate. But I really want you guys to get something for your donation. So that's why I urge you to go to ballergear.org and notmypremier.ca and order one of those mugs, hoodies, t-shirts. The quality's there, price point's there, based on the profits are going to multiple organizations. There's other charity things that we're doing as well, with Taylor McNally, who's facing horrible treatment and abuse and targeting from the Calgary All Cops Are Bastards. There's a group of us, and just because I'm white, it doesn't mean, I don't know what it means. Fuck, I'm at a loss here. Don't ignore my whiteness. Don't whatever. If you're a person of diversity, if you're a person of the global majority, if you're a person of indigenous peoples, if you're a person that is voiceless, just message me. I'll say this stuff. I'll say whatever you want on this platform, on whatever platform I have. I will utilize the soapbox that I have to speak truth to power, to continue to talk truth for you. Again, ballergear.org, notmypremier.ca. stuff going across the screen. Like and subscribe. Like our content. We're going to continue to do it as much as we can, but we can't continue to do it this way because we have no funds coming in. We don't qualify for any sort of support in this. So we're just coming together with what we can, trying to build it as I want to build a community. I want to build a cooperative community. I don't want to lead it. I just want to help. I want to build it because I want people to want to come together. We need to come together as a community. Again, I'm hoping not to be as angry next week. We will have other voices next week. I promise you, we will have extremely important conversations as we're doing an Alberta Party roundtable and talking Alberta politics as well as the Alberta Party and learning more about their platform and more about things. And one of the questions that's going to be the first ones I'm going to come to, and I'm not going to blindside them with this. The first question I have for the Alberta Party is Stephen Mandel. How do we get past the fact that the majority of the province voters that were looking at the Alberta Party as a viable option got blindsided by you choosing Stephen Mandel as leader? And then when he lost, he fucked off back to the conservative land and was put into place by the UCP. So how, if you're going to go work for the enemy, as we're talking politics here, if that's the enemy, how the hell are you in good conscience going to go and work for them? Proofs in the pudding today with the announcement of Danielle Smith, not my premier, hiring the MLA who gave up their seat so she could run in the sweet spot of Brooks Medicine Hat district, knowing that it was a strong foothold for the UCP and they could easily win. That former MLA is now part of the administration. Stories are going to come out about corruption. Corruption has been going on a long time. Again, I said in closing, so I'll tell you this right now. Sovereignty Act is step one. Next step is the provincial police force. I'm calling it right now that there's going to be some sort of connection to Lacombe, Alberta, in central Alberta, Lacombe, to that provincial police force. If you go into the thread on AB_Poley, you can see where Danielle Smith met with the mayor of Lacombe at a get-together with other municipal leaders and ministers, and then Premier Jason Kenney. And then a week and a half later, then Justice Minister Casey Madu, then Minister of Wood Whittling and bullshit Ron Orr, met with the chief of police in Lacombe and the mayor of Lacombe at the brand new state-of-the-art Lacombe police station, which is not where it was before, but it's across the tracks and has a vast amount of land around it that could be expanded on. Keep that one in mind. Again, like, subscribe, all our platforms. Follow us on Twitter at ADC Truth, at ADC Talking Truth, at ADC Truth on TikTok. And for sure, follow our co-founded platform of at AB_Poley for all Alberta politic discussion and the continuing of sharing of calling out not my premier, Danielle Smith. This has been Talking True Tuesday. I'm ADC. We'll see you next week.